Am I the goober for doing this? Am I the goober for telling my friend she's in the same league as the guy she calls potatoes? About a week ago, my friend, she's 19, downloaded dating apps like Tinder and Hinge for the first time. She's the type of person who constantly says she wants a boyfriend, wants someone to do things with, feels lonely, etc. For the record, she looks totally normal. Not a troll, not a supermodel, just average. Anyway, for the past week, she's been complaining non-stop that almost all the guys on there are potatoes, short, or otherwise not her type, and that none of the hot dudes swipe on her. I asked her to show me some of these so-called potatoes, and she pulled up the profiles of guys who had liked her. Honestly, most of them looked about her level, moderately attractive. So I told her, these guys are basically in your category. Maybe give one of them a chance, since you're always saying you want a relationship. She flat out refused, said she's way more attractive than them. I pointed out that, by her own words, she isn't matching with the hot guys, which kind of proves she's not in their league. She didn't like that. She called me the goober. You're not the goober. Dating apps literally have algorithms that show you people around your score. If she only wants to judge guys on looks, she should accept being judged the same way. You are kind of a goober, but not in a villain way. You could have phrased it nicer instead of saying you're average. Deal with it. Honestly, everyone's a goober here. Attraction is subjective, but both of you got judgy. Maybe she does need a reality check, but you didn't have to hand deliver it wrapped in sass. Am I the goober for calling someone a silly goose after they signed up for surfing lessons without knowing how to swim? I teach surfing lessons. A new group came in, and once we hit the water, one guy started panicking, clinging to the board yelling. I asked what was wrong. He said, "I can't swim." At first, I thought it was a joke. I laughed and said, "Good one, now paddle." But he kept panicking. Then it hit me. He was serious. He really couldn't swim. So I dragged him back to shore. Then he asked if he could just lie on the board and have me push him toward the waves. That's when I lost my cool. I said, "Listen, my fluffy friend, you need to know how to swim to surf, just like you need to know how to swim for water polo, diving, and pretty much anything ocean related. If you don't know, then get out. I'm not wasting the whole class on this." He stormed off, yelled at staff for a refund, and later left a 1-star Yelp review. "Unprofessional, wouldn't help me learn to surf." Our staff replied, "Sir, swimming is a required skill for surfing. That should be obvious." Not the goober. That guy could have put himself and others in real danger. Honestly, I can't believe people don't get this. Surfing without knowing how to swim is like skydiving without knowing how to use a parachute. You were blunt, but you were right. Safety first. So, am I the goober for keeping a lost pet until the owner actually paid me the promised reward? Over the weekend, I was walking in the park when I saw a cat that looked really familiar, like the one from all those lost pet posters plastered around the neighborhood. The posters said there was a $500 reward for returning the cat. Catching him was super easy. He was friendly. I double-checked the poster, realized it was definitely the same cat, and took him to my back porch. Then I called the number on the flyer to let them know I had found him. The owners were thrilled and said they could come right away. I asked if the $500 was really part of the deal, sent the guy a photo of the cat, and gave him my address. That's when the drama started. When the guy arrived, I told him I'd hand over the cat only after he gave me the reward. He said there actually wasn't any money and that he had just written it on the flyer to make people look harder for the pet. I told him, "Nope, no way. If you write reward, then you pay reward." I refused to give him the cat until he handed over the cash. He got mad and threatened to call the cops. I told him, "Go ahead, fluffy words. I'd love to get this all on the record in case I need to take you to small claims court." In the end, he grumbled that he'd come back later with the money. That evening, he showed up with the $500, I gave him the cat, and that was that. When I told my girlfriend, she said I should have just returned the cat because catching him didn't really cost me anything, and times are tough right now. Some friends agreed, saying the guy was probably desperate and I was profiting off his misery. But honestly, I still feel like if you promise a reward, you should deliver. The guy just wanted to save $500 by lying. So yeah, am I the goober here? You're a goober for basically holding a poor kitty hostage to force him to pay up. Your moral compass looks like it was assembled by IKEA without instructions. Next time, just give the man his cat back and call him a silly goose for being a liar. Don't turn it into a hostage negotiation. Am I the goober for causing my mother-in-law to skip my husband's birthday? Last week was my husband's 29th birthday. About 3 weeks earlier, I told him I planned a special dinner at a restaurant, lobster night, and that we'd go together with our 2-year-old. He was excited because he'd never tried lobster before. I told him he could pick something else, but he liked my idea, so I booked the dinner. Between the meal, about $120, and gifts, $120, I spent around $240, which is a big deal where we live. A week before the dinner, his mom texted asking if she could come. My husband flat out said no. He's tired of always paying for relatives' meals and gifts on their birthdays while nobody does the same for him. Since dinner was in the evening, I thought maybe we could invite his mom for lunch instead. He gets annoyed at his relatives sometimes, but I know he loves his mom and would probably enjoy seeing her. Here's the twist. She also had a birthday this month. My husband gave her money for a trip and even sent $100 for spending. While she was away, she asked for more money and I happily gave some. I was also honest with her about how much I was spending on my husband's birthday and mentioned that if she came, she'd have to come alone because of budget limits. She agreed. But the day before, she suddenly announced she was bringing her mom and my husband's younger brother. I explained again that we couldn't afford more people, and my husband wasn't paying for them either. Having 2 extra guests would mean cutting groceries for the week. I caved, but I felt disrespected. I didn't tell my husband, but I vented to his sister, who then told his older brother. He confronted their mom, and she texted me, "Yeah, maybe we'll see each other another time." Since then, she's been ignoring me, and now I feel super awkward. My husband really does love his mom. He just doesn't like paying for her all the time. I admit I crossed boundaries and handled this poorly. You're the gooberette, but not for the reason you think. Your husband said he didn't want her there, yet you still let her push her way in and tried to juggle extra guests. Why are you telling your MIL how much money you're spending? That's none of her business. If she's mad, let her be mad. But remember, you opened the door by saying she could come. Am I the goober for breaking patient confidentiality and telling my friend her boyfriend has HIV? This situation has been haunting me for a week, so here goes. About 2 months ago, one of my closest friends, let's call her Amanda, started dating a guy, let's call him Matt. I'd met him a couple of times and he seemed a bit shady, but Amanda was happy, so I was happy for her. I work at a local hospital. I'm not a doctor or a nurse, but I have access to patient records in certain situations, with ethics committee approval. A little over a week ago, while gathering info for a task, I came across Matt's medical record. I wasn't snooping, it was part of my assignment, and he was in the stack of patients I needed to review. Out of roughly 500 records at the only hospital nearby, it was just coincidence. I learned from his record that he has HIV. I wasn't sure if Amanda knew. I agonized over this. Should I stay silent and risk her getting exposed? Should I talk to him first, even though it's none of my business? Or should I just tell her to be safe? Ultimately, I felt like, as her friend, I had to tell her for her safety. Knowing Amanda, I was almost certain she didn't know, and Matt seemed sketchy, so confronting him seemed useless. I told her. She was shocked, immediately broke up with him, and thanked me. But apparently she told him how she found out because 2 days later, I was fired. I knew the risk I was taking and thought it was justified, but now I wonder if I crossed a line by violating confidentiality. Ooh, you're a major goober. You broke patient confidentiality. That's illegal and unethical. I get your loyalty to your friend, but technically you overstepped. But HIV is lifelong and serious. You potentially saved her from a huge risk. Best case, you protected your friend. Worst case, career trouble. I think it was worth it. Everyone's a goober here except Amanda. He's a goober for not telling his partner. You're a goober for exposing confidential medical info. Amanda is not a goober. Am I the goober for telling my sister and brother-in-law they need to stay in a hotel? My sister and her husband live across the country and came to visit me. I live in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment. I set up a bed for them in my office and they've been here for 4 days. The problem? My brother-in-law hogs the bathroom, like for hours. After the first day, I asked my sister about it. She said he has a medical condition that makes him need the bathroom a lot. So I tried to be understanding, but by day 3, it got unbearable. I literally had to go to the store twice just to use their restroom because my own was occupied forever. On the last night, I woke up at 4 a.m. absolutely desperate. I knocked, he said he'd be out in a minute. 1 hour later, he finally came out. The local store was closed, and let's just say I had to do something I really didn't want to do because I couldn't wait anymore. The next morning I told them they needed to get a hotel. I can't live in my own place without access to the bathroom. I explained that I get he has a condition, but I do too, and whenever I travel, I make sure to book a place with my own bathroom so I don't inconvenience others. They were upset and called me ableist. I told them what happened that night and they said I should have just held it. I said nope, they need to go to a hotel or stay with other relatives. I can't do this anymore. Now I'm wondering, was I the gooberette for telling them to leave even though we originally planned for them to stay a week? Pro tip, just shut off the Wi-Fi whenever he goes in there. That'll cut his bathroom marathons in half. Not the gooberette. You have the right to basic access to your own bathroom. If he knows about his condition, he should plan accordingly, like booking places with private bathrooms. That's not your burden. Am I the goober for telling our parents my brother has a child on the side? For years, my brother has been trying to start a business with my husband. It never really worked out, but eventually my brother came up with an idea that my husband actually thought might succeed. Here's the thing. Before my husband goes into business with anyone, he runs a pretty thorough background check. I'm not sure if he warned my brother about this or not, but that's how he discovered that my brother has a daughter outside of his marriage. I had no clue this child even existed. My husband told me not to say anything, but I just couldn't keep it to myself. A few days ago, I told our parents. They were as shocked as I was. They had no idea either, and they immediately confronted my brother. Turns out his wife already knew, but she told him she'd leave if he ever tried to bring the girl into their family. So they just kept it a secret from all of us. Now, our parents want to meet their granddaughter and welcome her into the family, but my sister-in-law says she'll leave if that happens. My brother refuses to share the mother's contact info. My parents are pushing my husband to dig up the details for them, but he refuses to get involved. Meanwhile, I really want to meet my niece. I told my husband that if he won't help me, I'll ask his friend who runs background checks. That's caused a few fights between us already. My brother now hates me and blames me for a possible divorce, but I don't think that's fair because I didn't expect my parents to go nuclear on him the second I told them. I even asked them not to. So, am I the gooberette here? Yep, you're the gooberette. You're married. That means you're grown up enough to know that when you find out something huge about your brother's life, you talk to him first, not tattle to the parents. Your husband literally told you not to say anything. You ignored that and created family chaos. That's a goober move. Am I the goober for not defending my friend when my boyfriend roasted her at 2 a.m.? Last night around 2 a.m., my friend asked me to walk with her to a guy's place because she didn't want to go alone. His house is about 25 minutes away. I didn't want to just sit outside while they, played Wii Sports inside, so I called my boyfriend to drive us instead. On the way, he started throwing spicy comments at her like, if this guy really liked you, he'd pick you up. What are you even doing going there at 2 a.m.? Honestly, I agreed with him. Then he went overboard and said, that dude's just gonna speed run you and throw you out. Where's your self-respect? My friend just laughed the whole time and said she didn't expect anything serious from the guy anyway. My BF drove her there, we waited, then picked her up later. But afterwards, she texted me saying I was a bad friend for not standing up for her, that she was actually hurt by his words and that she expected me to shut him down. Thing is, she was literally laughing the entire time. How was I supposed to know she was actually upset? Am I the goober for telling my fiancé I don't like her wedding dress? In 9 months, my girlfriend and I are getting married. She's been shopping with her bridesmaids for months and finally found the dress. She was so excited but couldn't resist showing me photos of the bridesmaids' dresses first. I told her they were gorgeous and matched well with my groomsmen's suits. Then she brought out her dress and asked for my opinion. I stopped and asked, do you want my honest thoughts and critique, or are you just excited to show me because you already love it? She said she wanted honesty, so she put it on and walked out. And I'll admit, I felt a bit disappointed. She's a beautiful woman who looks amazing in literally anything, but this dress felt like it clashed with everything she had planned. She'd been going for a magical forest vibe, flower crowns, ethereal energy, yet chose a massive poofy Disney princess dress with sparkles everywhere. Honestly, it threw me off. So I said it. I don't like it. I'm surprised you chose this one. It doesn't fit you or the wedding theme. It's too puffy and glittery. She froze, ran upstairs, then stormed off to her mom's house. Later, she texted me saying I was a goober and blocked me. First big fight. But here's the kicker. I checked my credit card statement later. She spent $9,000 on the dress. No refunds. Now I'm sitting here both laughing and crying.